Now at 6 and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com, Victoria County Sheriff Mark comments on human smuggling in Victoria.
In today's historic ousting of House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, Congressman Michael Cloud votes against McCarthy's removal.
And some Texas schools receiving backlash for trying to incorporate the Bible in the classroom.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. We have a couple of thunder showers just about to get into the city. Here's Edna. You can see the big thunderstorm, but I don't see any hail in this activity. And we got one storm just here on the northwest side of town. They're moving down toward us, so it's going to be raining within the next few minutes here. And then tomorrow, it looks like it's going to be fairly wet. We're waiting for that big cold front. We'll be talking about that coming up in a moment.
And we are more than halfway through the Texas high school football season, and we still have 5 ranked teams. See which in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Brew Baker.
And I'm Karina Garcia.
One person reported injured after a multi-car crash in Port Lavaca today. The Port Lavaca Wave reports the crash was at the intersection of State Highway 35 and Tiny Browning Boulevard. Traffic crossing Highway 35 was blocked for a time.
Around 2 p.m. today, authorities responded to a call about a vehicle on fire in the back parking lot of Lowe's. Here's a closer look at the truck on fire. This video actually caught by one of our viewers. There's no word on anyone hurt, but the cause of the fire is under investigation. Board members in the Victoria ISD called a special meeting this afternoon.
25 News Now reporter Adarius McCormick live at the board meeting with more. Adarius?
That's right, you guys. I am at the Victoria ISD Administration Building on 102 Prophet Drive, where VISD board members have called a special meeting. Special means that the public has an opportunity to speak. You can come on down and have your voice be heard. I said on 102 Prophet Drive. Today, the board is learning about the legislative updates here in 2023. We should have more later. Reporting live in Victoria, I'm Adarius McCormick, KAVU TV, 25 News Now.
Adarius, thank you. Last week, there were 3 migrant bailouts in 5 days in Victoria County. Victoria County Sheriff Justin Marr told us this is nothing new because the number of bailouts come and go in cycles. As areas get pressure put on them, migrants find new tracks, roads, and travel patterns to navigate their way to San Antonio and Houston. This influx has happened before and is really not a surprise to law enforcement.
Honestly, until there's an administration change at the federal level and we actually secure our border, we're going to deal with this. You're going to deal with it to a very small extent. You always have, but not to this magnitude. And when the federal government wants to do their job, then things will probably slow down.
Sheriff Marr said if people see something out of the ordinary in their area, then don't hesitate to report something. This could be migrant behavior. A lot of these smugglers run very rural paths away from the main roads. 4 people charged with election fraud in B County. They are charged with illegal actions during the 2022 election cycle. KIII reports one of the 4 charged, Carlos Salazar Jr., a former B County commissioner, charged with 8 counts of tampering with government records and false application for voter ballot. An investigation found that the 4 people lied on applications for voter ballots by stating they lived in what turned out to be an abandoned house in Beeville.
And now let's pause on the news and take a look at your forecast with First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Bettis.
Thank you very much, Karina. We had thunder showers in the Houston area all day long. Not here. But now they're sort of moving down toward us. There's 59, there's Louise up there, there's Edna. You can see how they're getting rain right now. And we've got one thunderstorm just on the northwest side of town. So if you're on the north side of Victoria, you're going to be getting some fairly heavy rain coming through the area. I don't see any blue tops, so that's a good sign. We've had a lot of rain in Brazoria County. They were under a flood watch for a while this afternoon. But tomorrow looks wet for us, and the cold front, it's on its way. We'll be talking more about that coming up in a moment.
The U.S. House of Representatives, in a historic vote today, ousted Kevin McCarthy as Speaker. The House will now need to elect a new Speaker, but there is no clear option as to who would have the support needed to win the gavel. McCarthy's political future hangs in the balance, and it remains to be seen whether he will seek to win back the speakership, as no House Speaker has ever before been ousted through the passage of a resolution to remove them.
Before the final vote, the House failed to block the effort to oust him by a vote of 208 to 218, with 11 Republicans voting against the motion to table. District 27 Representative Michael Cloud voted against ousting McCarthy.
Now, there hasn't been a high-profile showdown like this on Capitol Hill since 2015, when then Republican Representative Mark Meadows filed a resolution to try to oust then House Speaker John Boehner. The matter never made it to the floor for a vote, but Boehner resigned many months later.
So here's your viewer poll this evening. Scan that QR code on your screen to vote now. Here's the question. Did you support the efforts to remove House Speaker Kevin McCarthy? Yes or no? Let's look at those numbers. 43% of the voters said yes, and 58%, it just changed on the air, 58% of the voters say no. We thank you for voting. We want to hear your opinion. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and we'll have an update on 25 News Now at 10. Surveillance footage shows the moments a postal worker was killed in a hit-and-run crash in North Houston over the weekend. KTRK reports family members trying to get answers as to who would leave their loved one to die. The U.S. Postal Service employee, whom his family identified as Robert Jones, was on his route when an SUV hit Jones's postal truck. The mail truck flipped into a ditch and trapped Jones underneath. The video shows the suspect's car appears to slow down before driving off.
A closer look at the battle to bring God back to public schools. Here in Texas, a few lawmakers want to see the Bible back in the classroom. This after 3 school districts passed policies restricting lessons on race, gender, and sexuality, and removed thousands of books from libraries. Some students are now weighing in, saying their education is trapped between politicians and pastors.
It's frustrating, strange, and hypocritical to see the "In God We Trust" signs being put up everywhere, while at the same time books are being removed from our library shelves.
A number of school districts have made drastic policy changes recently, with new board members backed by conservative activists and state lawmakers who want to restore biblical teachings. It's because of this that some teachers, parents, and students say they worry pastors and politicians have taken over the classroom. Texas lawmakers will return to Capitol Hill next Monday for the 3rd special session with 2 hot issues on the agenda. KXAN reports Governor Greg Abbott intends to ask lawmakers to consider legislation relating to immigration and border security. The governor has the sole authority to set the agenda during special sessions, and this time around on the agenda is the governor's priority to establish state-funded education savings accounts to subsidize private school tuition. The special session may last as long as 30 days.
Texas Congressman Henry Cuellar says he was carjacked in southeast Washington, D.C. last night. The congressman's office releasing a statement saying he was not hurt in Monday's attack and that he is working with law enforcement. Police say Cuellar was parking his car in the city's Navy Yard area when 3 armed men approached and stole his car. The car was later recovered. Crime statistics from D.C. Police's crime data show carjackings up 108% compared to the same time last year.
I do have a black belt, but I recognize when you got three guns. I looked at one with a gun, another with a gun, and the one behind me. So they said they wanted my car. I said, sure, you got to keep calm in those situations.
Congressman Cuellar also told CNN, quote, "What really got me upset was they took my sushi," unquote. The Texas Tribune has this article. The state's unemployment rate has stagnated at 4.1% for 4 months. However, state economic experts say the unemployment rate is an indicator of Texas' growing population and labor force. You can also read this story on crossroadstoday.com. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell so you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. And stay with us, coming up on 25 News Now at 6. In California, volunteers taking extra steps to help migrants entering the U.S.
Also ahead, a cat returns to his owner in Austin after he became lost in a Lyft ride. Volunteers in Southern California are helping migrants entering the U.S.
Feeding them and making sure they have some guidance on their next steps in America.
Spending hours sitting outside at the San Isidro Community Park is anything but peaceful. Still, spirits are high for many of these migrants who have made their way to America.
I love America.
Over the past couple of weeks, we've been talking to migrants dropped off at transit centers in the South County. Now, nonprofits have created an unofficial welcome center for those with nowhere else to go.
Oftentimes, they don't even know that they're here in San Diego, and so we're letting them know where's the nearest airport, where's the nearest train station, so they can get on their way.
Lindsay Tozlowski is the executive director for the social justice law firm IMDEF. She says about 700 migrants are brought here every single day, early in the morning and later in the evening. I was able to speak with some of them using apps to translate. Have the people here been helpful?
Yes, of course.
This man making his way to New York tonight. Another, Mohammed, telling me he fled from Northwest Africa.
I'm a young activist. I left my country to go to exile in the United States because we live in a country where there's oppression, there is racism. We continue to fight to defend our civic ideas, to defend our communities.
This bus makes multiple trips a day to the San Diego International Airport. All of this, the transportation and food, it's being provided by volunteer efforts.
Nonprofit organizations for the last 3 weeks, along with ordinary community members, have opened our hearts and our wallets and our budgets to meet this need, but it is not sustainable without a government response.
The FDA giving the green light to Novavax's updated COVID-19 vaccine. The protein-based shots are for people 12 and older. They're aimed at stopping the spread of EG5, the dominant strain in the U.S. right now. Novavax responsible for very few COVID-19 vaccinations in the U.S., but a CDC advisory panel says it's important to offer people an alternative. The CDC director recommends the vaccine as an option for protecting against the virus. It's not often you see a plane in the middle of the road, but that's what happened Monday when this plane made an emergency landing on a road in Arlington, Texas. According to the FAA, 2 people were on board and both are okay. Police closed the road for several hours to get things cleaned up. Both the FAA and the National Transportation Safety Board are investigating exactly what led to the emergency landing.
ERCOT looking to increase its power capacity ahead of winter. KVUE reports ERCOT hopes to add 3,000 megawatts of reserves ahead of its peak load season for winter, which runs from December to February. ERCOT's analysis shows if Texas has a winter storm during this year's peak load season, like the winter storm of last December, the risk of entering into an energy emergency alert would be almost 20%.
It's been a nerve-wracking couple of days for a cat owner in Austin after a Lyft driver drove off with his cat Saturday.
An intensive search for the cat took place over the weekend, and on Monday morning, someone found the missing cat on the side of the road.
Palash Pandy says he's relieved that after 34 hours on her own, Tux is feeling good and is back to being her normal, curious self.
She's doing really well, no issues at all. She just had some fleas because she was outside, so they gave like an ointment for that. But other than that, just perfectly healthy. She's fine.
Tux went missing Saturday afternoon. Pandy says he used Lyft to take her to a vet appointment. When he got out and started to walk around the car to get Tux, he says the driver took off with the cat still in the car.
Just walking from one door to the other. And just doing that, he started peeling off. I'm running behind him. I'm banging on his doors. I'm banging on his windows. And he just takes off.
Lost cat flyers went up in North Austin, and Lyft put alerts on its app to help find Tux. Early this morning, investigators hired by Lyft found Tux 1 mile from the vet clinic. She was not in her carrier. Pandy thinks the entire situation could have been avoided if the driver had either stopped or not waited hours to answer his messages.
I tried communicating with him every way possible. He did not respond to me. He only called me back once the police called him first.
Well, lucky cat, it's all taken care of. Well, good afternoon, everybody. We're getting some rain just moving into the city. There's Victoria. You can see the thunder shower coming in from the northeast. It's over the town right now, so some of you are getting wet. Earlier today, we had another day of heavy rain in and around the Edna area. And all this stuff had actually been in Houston all day, where they got a much heavier rain. They had flood warnings down in Brazoria County earlier today. But what about us? Well, rain's coming, and so is that cold front. We'll be talking more about that coming up in a moment. Well, don't give up, folks. The cooler weather is on its way. It's just going to take another day or so to get here. I have a live shot right about now, and things are looking pretty good, but the clouds are beginning to thicken up as the rain is now moving into the area. 91 right now. We managed to get up a little warmer than expected. We got up to 95 this afternoon. We were hoping to just hit it at 90, but don't give up. Things are going to be changing dramatically. Now, yesterday, all the heavy rain was down from Corpus Christi up Highway 37. Today, all the rain was in Houston, coming up from the Gulf, and now it's beginning to spread down into our area. There's Port Lavaca, there's Edna, and there's Victoria, and you can see how the activity is dropping down through our area. Good news is there's no severe weather expected, but there could be periods of heavy rain, and here's the real heavy stuff that was out over Houston most of the day. Meanwhile, out in West Texas, they've got severe thunderstorms developing right about now because the frontal system is right there. The frontal system, you can imagine a bulldozer. The cold air sinks to the bottom. It becomes like a shovel, like a front end loader that raises the warm air ahead of it and triggers off those big thunder showers. Now, right here, it's just heating. Over here, you've got the heating and the lift caused by that cooler air that's sort of nosing under. Here's the rainfall estimates for the day, and you can see how we did have fairly significant rain coming down Highway 59 all the way into the city. So tomorrow, it's going to get even more interesting. We've got pretty much every kind of weather you can think of. Right now, the severe weather is in far west Texas. Tomorrow, it'll be moving a little bit closer inland. You can see how we've got, North Dallas all the way around to the Big Bend, and then the front really starts moving into the hill country and into Austin, and then eventually into our region. So we don't expect the severe weather. We'll have some heavy downpours, but, talking thunder, lightning, and of course big hail, which is going to stay out in that area. Forecast highs for tomorrow, 89 for us, about 90 in Dallas, but get a load of this, 82 in Lubbock, and 74 the high temperature in Amarillo. The high temperature, it was 2 weeks ago, they were in the hundreds. So here's what's happening. The front is out in the panhandle right now. And by tomorrow, 3 o'clock, it'll be rolling into the hill country. You'll notice that we're going to get a big surge of tropical moisture up ahead of it, and that's going to give us the rain. I believe it's going to be wet tomorrow, so you just got to get ready for it and have the rain gear handy. Meanwhile, while that system moves across, it'll be Thursday night and into Friday morning when it gets into our area, and after that, the rain will let up a little bit, but we're going to get a nice dry northwest wind blowing through our region by the time we get to the weekend. So get a load of this forecast. Okay, for tomorrow in Port Lavaca, getting up to 87, scattered showers. Tomorrow in Cuero, getting up to 88, thunder showers on the afternoon. So here's where we are in 3 alert days, 1, 2, 3. We start with a 50% chance tomorrow, and then it gets heavier on Thursday. Front comes through. Friday early, it looks wet. I'm hoping that it clears up late Friday night. And look at these temperatures for Sunday. A low of 62 and a high of only 75. Sounds good. That's your 7-day forecast. We got to remind you that we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that and put Crossroads Today on your phone. Here's Karina.
Thank you, Mac. And now here's Sports Director Gina Perez.
Thanks, Karina. A former state champion of a local high school was found dead this morning. We have more after the break. At a crossroads, a former Strowman state champion died in his home earlier this morning. The 1985 head baseball coach of the Raiders, Hody Garcia, was found in his home around 11 o'clock in the morning today. He led his team to the only state sports team championship in Strowman Raider history. Every high school team he coached made it to the playoffs, including the 1986 team, which made it to the state semifinals. Garcia was 74 years old. There are 5 area high schools in the state rankings, but it's a little different than it was last week. The Refugio Bobcats are on a 5-game win streak after starting 1-0 to start the season. The Bobcats are coming off a 59-14 win over the Three Rivers Bulldogs to improve to 2-0 in district, which is tied for the lead with the Ganado Indians. Coach Jason Herring and the Bobcats are taking on the Skidmore-Tynan Bobcats Friday at Refugio. This is yet another battle of the Bobcats. Another big cat in the rankings are the Tidehaven Tigers. The red, white, and blue has been so dominant that has only allowed 6 points all season. The Tigers defense recently named the Children of the Corn bent but did not break in the 15-7 victory over East Bernard for the first district win of the season. The Tigers are on break this week for its bye, but will take on the Wayless Brazos Panthers on Friday, October 13th, which will be a perfect time for the Children of the Corn to come out and play. The Cuero Gobblers are coming off a bye week and did not lose a step in the rankings. The Cuero Gobblers stay at number 4 in the state. Their last action was against the then undefeated Beeville Trojans. Cuero is 5-0 on the year and looking to continue that streak heading into district. The Gobblers will host the Giddings Buffaloes Friday night for the first district game of the year in Gobbler Stadium. The Edna Cowboys did not skip a beat after last week's 35-0 victory over the London Pirates. The Edna Cowboys had gone through a tough few weeks with a tornado going through an RV park in Edna, getting a game canceled due to lightning and rain, and last but not least, losing to Refugio in last-second fashion. But the Cowboys are now 1-0 in district, which is all that matters when they host the Palacios Sharks on Friday. And the El Campo Ricebirds are back in the top 10 rankings at number 9 since being ranked in the top 5 to start the year. The Ricebirds had a couple of losses early on in the season, which knocked them out of the rankings, but after 3 big wins, the Birds are back in town. After another, they're going to have a big test against the Bay City Blackcats, which will be the game of the week. El Campo will be traveling to Bay City in one of the oldest rivalries in the state. The Oakland Bulldogs are out of the rankings after slowly moving up in previous weeks. The Bulldogs lost to Waco La Vega, putting them out of the top 10. It is not only going to get any easier for Yoakum after that. They are going to play the number 4 ranked Hitchcock Bulldogs Friday night. This would be a huge win for Yoakum, not only their first win against a ranked opponent, but also their first district win. Well, that's your sports. Donna and Karina, back to you.
Thanks, Gino. We're back in a moment. This 104-year-old woman set a world record over the weekend in mid-air. We have this story straight ahead.
Finally tonight, a 104-year-old Chicago woman believed to have set a record last weekend for being the oldest person in the world to tandem skydive. Dorothy Hoffner completed a jump at Skydive Chicago, jumping from a plane roughly 10,000 feet off the ground. At 104 years old, Hoffner topped the world record of 103 years old, which was set in Sweden in 2022. She did not start skydiving until she was 100 years old, so she's just a beginner. Actually, they have not got the official word from Guinness that that is a world record, so that part is up in the air. It's
Up in the air,
yeah.
of course.
And some strange weather is coming our way up in the air.
Yeah, some strange numbers. We haven't used these numbers in a long time. They're kind of rusty. We are looking at, of course, staying on the warm side for tomorrow and shower activity increasing. Thursday night, late, probably after midnight, is when the front makes it to our area. That's going to give us a strong chance for rain Thursday and Friday morning especially. I'm hoping that it clears Friday night, but there's a possibility that Friday night may have a little wetness involved in it. But cool and dry for the weekend.
All right, Max, thanks for joining us.
We hope to see you back here tonight.